Hi and welcome along to this screening today, and I hope you enjoy it. Today I'm going to bring you a smorgasbord of chess positions that I've actually got in my actual games itself on the classical monthly arena from Lichess, of course. So here we go. Let's go. Let's have a look at these chess positions, okay? I hope you enjoy them. They're exercises, very good for your chess. But first, we'll have a look at today's chess puzzle on Lichess. So here we go. Let's have a look at what to do here for black. As you can see, here we have the situation with black to move, where white has just played. White's not moving for me. Okay. Don't know what's happening there. What have I done now this time? I don't know. So anyway, I'm going to just try to play this thing here. As you can see, the rook is defended by the king. So all we play here is... oh, I'm not sure what's going on here. Let me think what's happening. Maybe... oh, that's right. I have to play it actually on the thing itself. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do a little bit sneaky thing here. I'm just going to move my screen over to here so where I can have a look at it with you. So here we go with white's move has just been here to G1. So this is a mistake, as we can clearly see that now we have this endgame situation of E3 check. And the king has to keep defending the rook. Now we have E2 check, king E2. The other idea is for white to play king F2. Okay, and then after rook G1, we have queen or rook up. And then rook takes A2 pawn after check. And that's the thing. So that's that problem. So that's quite simple. I think I got 1 point for that. Okay. So now I'm going on to my games from the classical arena that I played a few of these games. And I bring you these puzzles of my own game. So it's pretty good, isn't it? White's just played Queen D2 from F2. See? Have a look at this. White's just played Queen F2 to Queen D2. Now, white is a piece down, and I am black, of course. And so the move I played was Bishop G5. Okay, so what's that threatening? Real quickly, what's Bishop? This is just a teaser. This isn't a hard one. So Bishop G5, and here white dropped the ball, already being a piece down. White drops the ball. I could play Bishop G6, or could play Knight E6 or Knight G6 or something like that and just swap off. But I played here after Queen D2, I played Bishop G5, you see. So here we go. This is Bishop G5, and here comes White's final blunder in this classical Shield Arena game that is still going, 3 hours to go, is rook AE1. So we can all see the forced win, more or less forced win for black, which is now the discovery attack on the queen with knight H3 check, and thereby after king moves or pawn takes knight, then we have bishop takes queen on D2. So we have this move, you see. We have just bishop D2. So this is a very subtle movement here, isn't it? It's very subtle, Dave. Okay, so next puzzle. Okay, next puzzle is coming up right now. Okay, so the next puzzle is coming up right now. Here is the next position that occurred some time ago. And so what do you reckon? Black played rook. I played rook h7. And of course, rook b4 is no good. But did black play rook b4? Rook b4 is no good because of what? So rook takes b4 is no good because of what move? And here comes, it's rook e7 checkmate. So if rook b4, then rook e7 is simply checkmate. So here, my opponent played rook h7, and here blundered. The only move really is probably something like rook e8 or something dramatic. So black played knight f2, and this was met with rook to e7 checkmate. And that was that game. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed that game. So anyway, we'll move on here. White has just played rook to d7 from d5. And of course, white is threatening, among other things, queen g7 checkmate. So what way would you go now? How would you play this now in this this classical game of chess where I went berserk in most of my games? What would you do now for black? And notice that black's got this idea of queen here and queen here checkmate. Yay. So what would you do now for black? I played, without looking at whether it's any good or not, knight f5. And here came the really annoying move, knight e3. Ouch. Now what do I do? Now black is threatening, white is threatening. I like to think I'm threatening. White is now threatening just if knight e3 for black, then no good because of queen g7 checkmate. And it is black that loses. Yay! 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 But what do we do now? I played the following move, queen h3. Now we're both trying to checkmate each other, aren't we? We're both trying to checkmate. So if knight f5 now, big mistake. One, I could go rook e1 check, or I can just go queen g2 checkmate. So now came queen d3. So what's the sort of move you're going to play now? It's getting quite tangy. What's the sort of move you're going to play now? What about knight e3? If knight e3, then can white just play moves like queen d5 and queen d4 check, which I've had a couple of draws today? Can white do that? Just queen d5, queen d4, and then what? Queen to g7 checkmate again. Or sooner or later, after the rooks get in the way. So that's no good. What about knight e3, queen d5, queen e6? What about that one? Then we've got queen g5 check, haven't we? And queen g6, But that's not very tidy, is it? So here I played the great move. Very nice move to play. Very tangy. As I went rook e3, check to the queen. And this is pretty hard to meet. But then I've got these queen, excuse me, then I've got these queen d5 checks. So I have to go somewhere where I can't get checked, which is h8. And then comes queen f3, rook f3, and that's the end of that game. So that was no good, was it? That was no good. It was no good. The next position occurred just, we've had a queen swap and a rook swap. Okay? Now, this is the one that everyone loves most. The endgame, king and pawn endgame. What do we do next with the drunken sailor? I went king e2, king f6. Do I play e5 now? What should I do with the drunken sailor? I played king e3, and here black may be able to play king g5, but black went c6. So I went h4. This is kind of literally a kind of a David Weegenaar move. h4. So g5 came around and g3. So I'm just looking at these squares here. Okay. And I'm trying to manufacture, I'm trying to manufacture a central, a pawn, a passed pawn. But it's not going to be easy. It might not even be possible. It might be a draw. So we get GH4, GH4, and E5. Wow, E5. So it's a sort of a waiting game now, because I just play, what do I play now? B3. And A6. So we're both sort of like, waiting for the other one to do something that might result maybe in a better position for that player that gets to that position. So here I just play C4. I'm trying to do this without bungling again or dropping the ball. So we're both trying to fight for getting into each other's camp. So here comes E d4 and king d4, of course, and d e4 and king e4. Now, this is looking very, very drawn, and it probably is. So there's king e6 and a4. Now, c5 would probably be a move, but I played here. I want to keep, if I push to c5, then it gets in the way of the king, you see. So I want to give my king squares still up to here and up to here and crunch these pawns sort of thing. So I played a4. Now, this is neither good or not. I'm not sure. c5, a5. Now, this pawn holds back both these two pawns, you see. So next thing we do is we go h6. And it's coming up to sort of do or die soon. King f4, king f6. Oh no, don't please. King e4, king e6. So my opponent wants a draw, and probably I should just take a draw. And that's the end of that game. So let's look at the next game. Okay, so let's look at the next game. You ready? No, of course not. We're not here for draws. We're not here for draws at all. We're not here for draws. We're here to try to win this. So what I played next was h5. Okay, so now I played h5. More housekeeping moves, h5. So now the king, it is do or die now. It's SAS all over again. So if king d6 now, then I go king f5, don't I? And depending where the king goes, I'm going to go here next, move. So don't think black. There's another coffee, another wee coffee burp. Sorry about that. But that happens when I'm basically recording this live. So sort of evidence maybe that I'm going to place this on the internet regardless. Here came king f6. So we have now king d5, king g5, king c5, okay, king h5, king b6, king g4. A move that my opponent might regret. Because of what? What has my opponent just done? My opponent's gone to the wrong square. My opponent has gone to g4, a white square, where my pawn can check on c8, becoming a queen. So I play king b7, h5, and stay tuned because this isn't exactly clear what happens soon, but it's all good at the end. Because I wanted to play with my opponent. c5, c6, c7, h2, queen, check. So now I kind of dropped the ball. King a6. I wanted to. I wanted to have some fun. I'm still going to win this game. Queen b7 check. And that was the end of that game. So that was no good for my opponent, was it? The next position was this position, and my opponent plays here queen b2, which has obvious intent of queen h7, etc. I mean, queen h8 check. I often get it wrong. Queen h8 check, etc. So, what would you play here for black? And this is part of the exercise for this position. I quite enjoyed this game. I thought it was quite an enjoyable game to play. It was a good challenge that my opponent played here, and I have to be careful again. So, without going into too much detail, I sort of have to play this move here. I think is e5, and after e5, we have, of course, fe5. If queen e5, then that's no good because then I play queen e5 check. Queen e5 check to the queen. Queen takes, bishop takes, and then rook to d1 check, and rook takes bishop. Okay, so that's what I'm going to play if we have a queen exchange. But my opponent played here f e5, and now this renews the threat soon of playing e6. So I blockade wrongly with my queen on e6. And if I think about this, there are tries for white here, but they're just not quick enough. So here's h4, but this is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one. So here I played rook d1 because it's a check. Why not? And here I played the double up of the rooks. h5, and my opponent might be threatening moves like hg6 and rook g6 or something like that, but I don't think so. So here's rook d d2, d8 d2, And here's queen a3, which is probably necessary. So I played rook b1, hg6, hg6, because other moves don't look very good. Okay, now rook h3. Now my opponent is trying to get sort of perpetual check, maybe with rook h8 check. But I can easily see that upon king h8, queen f8 check, it's actually quite hairy, because if queen g8 check gone, then we have e6 maybe check. Not really, because of what? Because of rook takes bishop. So it's getting a little bit difficult for white now. So after rook d1, which threatens swap off of one pair of rooks at least, black was met with bishop d4. A sad move really, because it's just a waiting move, isn't it? So there's no rook f8 check. I mean, there's no rook h8 check instead of bishop d4. There's no rook h8 check. King here. Queen f8 check. And then queen g6, g8 check. And if e6 check, then king h7. Or rook takes a1. So also after queen h6, there's no perpetual check after queen h7 interposing the queen, and thereby this rook's gone, and now the king the queen is pinned to the defense of the king on h2. So a rook swap or a queen swap is going to occur, and then it's just basically two pieces up, two rooks up. So here comes bishop d4, so just rook h1, just keeping it simple, rook h3 check, and here my opponent played king h3, f4 check, king h4, rook h1, and resigned. So that's that position there. So hope you like that game. Now,